On Wednesday, the conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch released nearly 300 pages of emails from Democratic presidential nominee, which the group obtained through a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit. The heavily redacted emails raise new questions about the Clinton Foundation's influence on the State Department and Mrs. Clinton's staffers there during her tenure as chief diplomat for the U.S. Why can't Mrs. Clinton get beyond these controversy about her electronic communications? We'll talk with a longtime Hillary Clinton friend, an old friend of mine, an ardent supporter, our old friend Congressman Debbie Dingell. She's a Democrat from Michigan. Her husband is John Dingell, who served so many years in that post. She's on the House Budget Committee, the House Committee on Natural Resources. She joins me from Southfield, Michigan. Debbie, you don't get older. You look as great as ever.
Oh, Larry, I love you.
All right, what do you make of all this? Hillary facing controversy again. Will she ever get out of this morass?
Look, Donald Trump's going to keep trying to keep her in that morass from now until November because he'd rather take these kind of shots than talk substance. And, I mean, he's going to keep taking the shots at her, but the fact of the matter is he steps into something fresh almost every day. You know, he was here in Michigan on Monday, and I said to somebody, I went to the speech because, you know, I'm on the board of the Detroit Economic Club, and I believe in being bipartisan when it comes to certain things. And I actually said to somebody, whoa, he didn't let himself get goaded. He stayed on message. This could be a different Donald Trump. It took all of 24 hours for him to be the Donald Trump we all know, and I really think he stepped over the line this week.
Yeah, what did you make of that statement about the NRA?
I think it was actually absolutely inappropriate. And what worries me more, and you know, this is hard for me to talk about, but I've talked about it more in the last year or two, was what it's like to live in a house with someone who had a mental illness and shouldn't have had access to guns. Statements like that, which are really stupid statements, can encourage a lone wolf or somebody who's just a little to do things that they shouldn't do. And he's got to be more careful with his words because his words do have implications.
But how do you defend these latest accusations about Hillary?
You know, what I've seen is an email that asks for an appointment. It asks for an appointment. The fact of the matter is that lots of different people talk to people at the State Department. I think, you know, I wish that they had probably been a bit more careful about everything. I live in a world of which I've been paranoid for 30 years, as you well know. But it's very clear they were asking for an appointment, nothing else. No undue influence. It didn't involve the secretary. It's what can I say? That it is what it is. But they're going to keep trying to make huge mountains out of molehills because they don't want to talk substance or talk about the issues.
But this does lead to the appearance of impropriety, doesn't it?
I don't think it leads to the appearance of impropriety. I think somebody asks for an appointment. I think what it does is lead it subject to interpretation years later, which we're seeing. And, you know, you live in a glass bowl, a fish bowl, and you need to know somebody's going to come after you. I'm a paranoid soul and have lived like that for 30 years.
You said in June that Donald Trump could win Michigan and might win the election. You still stand by that?
I still have a concern. I believe that this race is going to be competitive until November. I think it's going to come down to who turns out to vote. Every time, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. So I get a little more, okay, maybe it can't happen. But I'll tell you something, I'm out and about. I'm talking to people. There are people who say, I just want to shake up the system. And they don't really think about, okay, shaking up the system, you've got to live with it the day after. I've heard more people say, because of some of the things he's done in the last 2 weeks, you know, I'm not sure he has the temperament to be president. The things that he's saying are disturbing him more. But I think that there are certain people that are going to vote for him. They're going to turn out. He doesn't have to have any kind of get out the vote movement effort to turn out those votes. We have to make sure that we don't have people that stay home, that think their vote doesn't matter, they're not energized by this election. We need every voter to be energized about the consequences of what could happen with this November election.
Some pundits are inclined to say because Donald Trump could never accept losing, if he were more than 10 points behind, like in October, he might quit and start a whole movement on his own and say that it was rigged and attack both parties.
You know, I think
anything's possible, right?
Yeah, anything's possible. I think it'd be difficult for him to do that, but he's got a record of, you know, when President Obama got elected in 2008, he kept, you know, he called it rigged elections then, he had conspiracy movements. That's how Donald Trump is. And the only thing I'll tell you about this election year, every time somebody says that could never happen, it happens. So this is a year anything can happen.
There's something you and Trump agree on. You're both opposed to TPP, right? Why?
I'm very strongly opposed to TPP because I was elected to protect the working men and women of my state and my district. And we've had enough of trade agreements that are costing us jobs. NAFTA, which I supported at the time because people, you know, we are trading in a global economy, has cost us 5 million jobs. Until we do something about currency manipulation. Right now, the Japanese actually do something. They manipulate their currency. The Toyota has an $8,000 cost advantage per vehicle that's imported into the United States. Ford Motor Company made less money worldwide than Toyota did on currency manipulation in the United States last year. They've got this cost advantage they use to undercut the cost of selling cars in this country. Not okay.
Hillary's gone back and forth on it. Have you talked to her about it?
I have had multiple conversations with her about TPP because I couldn't support somebody that was going to support a bad trade deal that would hurt the working men and women in my district. She understands, and she has given me her word. She will not support TPP, and she will not support an agreement that hurts auto workers.
So she's given you her word on that?
Yes, she has.
You were at his speech to the Economic Club in Detroit?
I was.
That was a teleprompter speech.
It was, and he stayed on it.
Yeah, but people say they don't appreciate him when he does the teleprompter. He's not the Donald.
Well,
how did you feel watching that speech?
Well, actually, to tell you the truth, Larry, I got worried because he stayed on script, and honestly, his speech got interrupted more than 14 times. Every 5 minutes a protester would get up. He never bit. He stayed calm. I said, is this the new Donald Trump? You know, by Tuesday, I wasn't worried. We didn't have a new Donald Trump. But if he had managed to stay on script, not let himself get goaded, he wouldn't be in trouble again.
What do you think of having the third and fourth party candidates on the debates?
Well, I think that they've got to have enough of a percentage of people supporting him in the United States to have a platform to participate in a national debate. I think democracy thrives when more people are involved and engaged. So let's see if they can build the support. Then the reason there are rules, because if you do get 15%, there is a significant number of people supporting you or watching you. And last year, when there were so many Republican candidates, I thought this is great because democracy needs people to know that it matters that they be engaged. Vote's one of the most important things you have. And for this country to be alive and flourish, people need to exercise it.
Trump says he will debate. He wants to know the terms of the debate. You don't think he's hedging, do you?
Well, I have thought that he was hedging. I was worried about it, but I think in the last 48 hours, we've heard that he's committed, he will debate. So I guess I have to take him at his word, whatever his word is.
Debbie, let's get together soon. I miss you.
Larry, I miss you. It's just so great talking to you.
Same here.
I don't like it being through a camera. I want to give you a big hug.
Congressman Debbie Dingell, thanks for her time today.